All right, here I am at the Clark Road Railroad Crossing in Inman, South Carolina. Now, this railroad crossing right here is a rather neat one owned by the Norfolk Southern A&S line, which stands for the Ashville and Spartanburg line. And I decided to tour this crossing right here because, as a matter of fact, this right here is the last crossing that is seldomly active on the A&S line, keyword seldomly active, because further down there, eventually, they will be tearing the tracks up eventually, and I figured just to tour the last active crossing since, you know, because I think it's pretty neat. And this line pretty much is the A&S, which stands for the Ashville and Spartanburg line, as I think might have already said, is pretty much like, you know, an extension off of the NSW line in some sort of way. It eventually turned into Saluda down there. Well, it doesn't turn into it, but, you know, goes to Saluda per se. And yeah, but with that out of the way, I don't know what that noise was. And so this crossing right here features some pretty neat 90, I would say, like early Norfolk Southern equipment, so I decided to give it a tour anyway. So with that said, I'll explain as I go on, so let's get to it. So for the first signal, this has a SafeTran base, and here's the emergency information and the dot number. The dot number is 720-721M, and if you look down here, there's an old paper emergency information for Norfolk Southern. See, it has the same dot number, Clark Street. And for the gate mechanism, this has a SafeTran gate mechanism, 1990s generation. And the gate features, which is pretty old, this features some early NEG incandescent gate lights and a wind guard. And if you look right here, the wire is cut off because I don't know what caused it. It was either due to the hurricane or maybe it got worn off at the wind guard.
It can't be the hurricane. I think someone must have ripped it off.
Yeah, someone must have ripped it off. Well, or maybe it kept on rubbing against the wind guard over and over, so it just eventually fell off.
Yeah,
so
that's definitely somebody ripped it off.
Yeah, so as you can see, due to that wire disconnection, these gate lights are no longer functional. If this crossing even goes off, well, it does still go off, well, it's like very, very rarely. And for lights on this one, this has two pairs of Hawker and SafeTran 12 by 20 inch incandescent lights, all sitting on a SafeTran light bracket. And for a bell, this has a SafeTran Type 3 electronic bell, most likely low pitch. So yeah, I guess I guess that's the first signal. I believe this signal used to have a mechanical bell in the past because, you know, the SafeTran Type 3s came out in like the late 2000s. So yeah, that right there is the first signal. Now let's go ahead and move on to the second signal. So yeah, so for the second signal, which is similar to the first in a way, this one has another SafeTran base. And here's the emergency information once again. And on the mast, there are two of these NS sticker emergency informations, one up here and one down here.
Okay, someone clearly shot BB guns at this thing.
Oh, you can see. Oh, yep. Wow. So all these BB gun marks on the gate arms. Which, speaking of which, the gate mechanism of this one, this has another SafeTran gate mechanism, 1990s generation. And the gate lights are some more early NEG incandescent gate lights and a wind guard on the mast, but except I believe the wire is actually still connected to the gate mech. Yep. So unlike the ones over there, the gate lights actually still work on this signal. So yeah. And for the lights on this one, this has two more pairs of Hawker and SafeTran 12 by 20 inch incandescent lights, all sitting on a SafeTran light bracket. And this signal has no bell on it. So yeah. And since this is an NS install, I believe when this crossing goes off, the bell only sounds when the gates are going down, and they don't sound, and it doesn't sound again after that. Obviously, I have not seen this crossing in action, and I don't think I ever will. So yeah, that right there is the equipment to show for Clark Road. Here's the relay case. Pretty basic. It looks relatively newer, but they might have just refreshed it or something.
It's still on.
But it is still on, so if a train were to go through here, this crossing will still activate. So I guess all that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the track view. Down there is heading south towards another crossing at what was that road called again?
I forgot.
but point being, the crossing down there, hilariously enough, is actually a brand new install that has probably ever went off twice. Like, it actually has GE uniform LEDs at GS Type 3 bell, Siemens gate mechs. It's kind of a waste of a crossing stall, but if you obviously look down here heading south, this heads right back towards Spartanburg, towards the NSW line, and you can see a tree is laying across the tracks, which goes for show that it hasn't been used since before the hurricane.
That tree went down from the hurricane.
Yeah,
so
pretty much went down from the hurricane, as you
that
see.
way leads due north. That takes you to Saluda, and eventually to Hendersonville, and then finally to Ashville.
Yep.
And you can see the old southern signals are still here, and they're still on. That signal used to show green all the time, but because there's a tree down the line, it's now showing red.
Yeah, which is quite interesting. But yeah, past those signals points, this is where they're going to be ripping up the rest of the crossings and the tracks, so eventually those signals will be facing sideways. But yeah, I guess all that said, this was the Clark Road crossing on the NS Ashville and Spartanburg line here in Inman, South Carolina. I would say some pretty neat stuff, but as you can see, it's been some time since this line.
You also point out, they also have the emergency information on the gate.
Oh yeah, they do. Oh yeah, on some older NS crossings, they do put like the emergency information on their gate, which is quite funny. But yeah, I guess with all that said, over and out.